Hey everyone, and welcome back to MASSP's TechBytes, Tips and Tricks for Educators. My name is Ryan Casey, and I'm the Director of Digital Learning and Resources for the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals. And I'm excited to be bringing you this month's TechByte topic, which is on ClassroomScreen. And thank you, by the way, to everybody who helped me select this month's topic by voting on my Twitter poll. You can look for that to come out again for next month to help me decide some future topics as well. ClassroomScreen is a really cool resource for teachers. It allows them to project what's on their screen for the rest of the class to see, but while doing so, it also has some really cool tools to help them organize and structure their lesson plans. It also includes some really good classroom management widgets and tools as well. So I'm going to walk us through some of the key features of ClassroomScreen, and then we're going to head on over to the website to see how it all works. So let's get started. So now I want to walk through some of the key features of ClassroomScreen so you have a better understanding as to why it's such a popular and really cool resource for teachers to be using in the classroom. So first of all, it's a cloud-based platform. So as long as you have a device that can get on a browser and get to the internet, you can use it. So Google, Mac, Windows, doesn't matter. As long as you can get to classroomscreen.com, you're all set. It also has just some really helpful features for teachers to use in their lesson plan. They're going to be able to display maybe the lesson or daily agenda, learning targets and success criteria. They can upload images or QR codes. And then there's also a lot of different classroom management little widgets that allow them to keep their class on track. For example, there's a noise meter to make sure students are working at an appropriate volume level. There's even a random name generator when you have to decide on what student to call on. So there's that plus other really cool resources as well embedded in the program. Best feature though is that it's free, 100% free. There's no account creation needed, no logins. You simply head to the website and you start working. So that's actually what we're going to do now. We're going to go to www.classroomscreen.com and we're going to see how it all works. So we made it to www.classroomscreen.com. Takes a couple seconds to load when you first go to the website, but eventually you end up at a spot that looks kind of like this. And although your background image might be different, basically it's a blank kind of canvas, and you'll notice at the bottom that there are some different elements or buttons that you can click on. And this is where you're going to go to add the different tools to your canvas that are, again, projecting from your computer onto the projection screen or whiteboard in your classroom for students to see. So we're just going to work through each one of these tools, and by the very end, you'll see all the cool and amazing stuff that you can use and implement into your daily lesson. So the first one has to do with setting the language. Obviously, mine is set in English, but you can adjust that depending on who your audience is, or I guess even what you are teaching. Maybe you're a foreign language teacher, and you want to set it in Spanish or French. Then you can also adjust your background. So if we click on the background button, you'll see there's quite a few different ones that ClassroomScreen provides for you. You just simply click one that you want. It takes a few seconds to load or change over, but if I go back to the background icon, you can even upload your own. So if you click the little upload button, you can browse your files or folders, and you could add one that way. If you want to just have something different each time you use it, you can also hit this button, which will kind of shuffle through every so many seconds or so many minutes. We'll change it to a different background image for you. So that is language and backgrounds. And now we're going to get to some more of the lesson-specific tools next. So next up, we're going to work on the next couple of tools that are kind of related to classroom management. Down at the bottom, so we've done language and background. Now we're moving on to the random name generator. So all you have to do is literally click the button, and it now shows up on your screen. And most of these little widgets or tools that you use appear on your screen. You can drag them around or move them to a new spot wherever you want, depending on how you have your screen laid out. This one has two different features. So the first one is a random name generator. And basically, you type in a series of names, like I am doing here, and you hit choose, and oh, I've got a call on Kyle right now. So you can actually type a whole list of all your students, You can actually save that list as a TXT file, so you don't have to type these out every time you go to use this tool. And then you can even upload that same TXT file. So if you want to create one for each of your different classes, it would take you just a couple minutes to do it one time, and then you can upload those and find a new student to choose each time. There's also a dice feature that, depending on how many of the dice you want to use, will roll a certain number. You get the little sound effect there. And that can also help you figure out maybe groupings of students or who you're going to call on. So you'll notice down at the bottom that I have one of those tools up right now with the random name piece. I can hit the red X to close it out, or I can even hit this button if I want to make a second one. And I think the method behind this is that one would be left on maybe the die, and then another one would be left on the random name generator. But either way, to get rid of those, you just simply hit the red X, and now that item is off of your screen. The next one is sound level. And basically, this is going to monitor the noise level in your classroom. So my microphone's plugged in right now, so it's obviously picking me up pretty loud. I need to be quieter, apparently. But basically, you can set this barometer level of what you're willing to tolerate as an acceptable noise level. You could adjust the sensitivity, again, based on your microphone. You do have to make sure when you go to use this the first time that you allow it to access your microphone. So depending on the browser you're using, there might be a couple buttons or steps you have to complete. But it's a nice little visual reminder for the students. Hey, you're getting a little loud. Let's quiet down, that sort of thing. Again, to get rid of it, I go back down to the bottom and I hit the red X. Okay, the next tool that we're going to talk about is the QR code generator. So again, down at the bottom here where all my tools are at, I click on QR. Again, I can move this around to make it easier for the students to see. And this basically just generates a QR code for you based on a certain website. So maybe our students are going to go to mymassp.com. I hit enter. You can see the QR code adjusted a little bit. So the rationale here is that basically if a student had a mobile device on them, they could use some sort of QR code reader, and you could send them to a certain website or another resource, if you will. So that is the QR code. I'm going to just move this off to the side for now. Down at the bottom, the next two tools have to do with drawing information. So one is going to be, it's going to allow you to draw something as your background, while the other one is going to draw it in kind of a contained text box, if you will. So I'm going to click on this first drawing one, and you're going to see it gives me all sorts of different drawing tools here that I can use with different colors and size of the marker, and it'll allow you to basically put a message or draw something as your background of your screen. So I don't have... Oh, I'm a terrible writer apparently. So you do that, and now that is going to take over your screen. So maybe if you were going through a lesson and you want to do some notes without having to switch back and forth between ClassroomScreen.com and your whiteboard, you could take notes all along your screen or your background part of what's projected for students to follow along with. The difference between that, I'm going to close out of that real quick, and the other drawing tool is this one stays self-contained within this box. So maybe you wanted to do some compare and contrast type work with students as you're going through different ideas on a topic. You could make a T-chart, you could draw another message, some sort of graphic to help reinforce a point or an illustration that you're trying to make. So that would be QR code and the two different types of drawing tools. And I'm going to just hit the little red X again to get rid of both before we move on to our next tool. So the next tool we're going to cover is the text tool. So again, down here at the bottom, right after all of the drawing icons, we click, and you can see that it basically just adds a text box to your screen. Again, you can move this around. You can make this a little bigger if you want, easier to read for the students. So if you can imagine a teacher might have their lesson agenda in this section, maybe their learning targets with success criteria, or any other notes, vocabulary, the warm-up question of the day, things like that would go in here. And you'll notice, again, this has all the different formatting icons and options that you would normally see in Microsoft Word or even Google Docs. And again, they can make this as big or as small as they want. And when it's no longer needed, I would imagine something like this they would leave up for the entire class period. But if not, again, they simply hit the red X to remove the tool from the screen. So the last few tools that we're going to cover all are related to classroom management. The first one is called work symbols. And when you click on that, and I'll move it to the middle to see a little better, it allows you to click on different icons to kind of do a reminder to your students. Should they be whispering? We're at the point in the lesson where maybe we should be asking the neighbor. You can work together, or it needs to just be silent. So those are work symbols. And again, depending on the activity that's going on, you would choose a different option there, just again to help the students know where they're at in the lesson, what they should be working on, or how they should be working on those items. A similar approach would be to use the traffic light. So based on the color you select, either red, yellow, or green, you can indicate to the students maybe the type of work that's going to be done. Maybe it's in a way kind of like a noise meter type thing again. It could be red means you have pencils down, you're fully watching me present information. Yellow could maybe mean it's like a guided participation thing. We're going to walk through steps together. And green means you're free to move and go at your own speed now. You're ready to take off with the learning at your own pace. So that would be the traffic light feature. And then finally, the last two items are little timers that you can use and clocks. So the timer will allow you to count down based on so many minutes. It uses the little sand clock here, and it will count it down. Or you can flip to the stopwatch, and you can time how long it takes that way, going up. So again, you have two different types of clocks there, or timers, I should say. And then the last tool that's available is the clock. And that's literally just going to display the time of the day and the date on the calendar if you choose to add that as well. And I will close out of the clock. So you can imagine that the screens are going to get pretty busy depending on what you have on there. So there's going to be a lot of moving things around, hiding things, bringing things back up. But the last feature I haven't talked about yet, which is really cool, is when you get to the very end of the lesson or the end of the day, over in the bottom right corner, you see a little yellow and green smiley face. This is the exit poll. So if you click on this, it's going to actually take you to a new screen where you can enter in a question that you want students or participants to answer. And it does it in real time. They would have to do this from one device, whether they walk up to your laptop or a dedicated iPad. You wouldn't need to have this part presented or projected on your screen. You could, if you have a smart board where it can be interactive and a student can walk up and actually touch something on the screen, it'll give you instant results. So you can see the example here. They said, what did you think of today's lesson? And a student can simply walk up and do the frowny face. It was great. Kind of a scale of 1 to 5, if you can imagine. And as each student walks up to the device that has this question posted, you can see that the votes are counted. And then at the end of the lesson, or at the end of the day after students have left, the teacher can click on Show Results, and they get a nice little visual or numerical breakdown of where students were at. So you just have to put some thought into the type of questions you're going to ask based on the feedback that you want. And then when you're ready for your next class to start, you make a little note of this data. You hit Reset Results. Are you sure? Yep. And it goes back to 0 for your next class when you get ready to have them do the poll as well. So hopefully you can see how great ClassroomScreen is. For the principals that are watching, definitely pass this on to your teachers so they can check it out. Maybe even consider modeling some of this during a faculty meeting to show them how easy it is to use. And again, it's free, no accounts needed, so that makes it even better. If you're interested in checking this out or want to see how other educators are using it, there is both a Padlet and a Twitter community dedicated to showing how they use this. For example, if you just go to Twitter and search hashtag ClassroomScreen, you'll see a ton of different images and information as to how teachers are using this resource in their everyday practice with their lessons. As always, if you can give me some feedback on how this tutorial was, I would greatly appreciate it. The link is both on your screen and in the YouTube comments as well. So on behalf of MASSP, I just want to thank everybody for joining me for this month's Tech Bites. I'll be back again next month with something else to show you. Thanks for joining me today, and have a great day.